Gonna give you guys my team needs for the 2024 offseason, plus got some defensive coordinator updates, and Tua Tagovailoa won an award. Let's talk about it. What is up, Finn fans? How are you all doing today? We are going to talk about an absolute ton of stuff today in this video. But before we jump into that, I have to shout out today's sponsor, BetUS, a fantastic betting site. Go check them out. Click the link in the description. They got all the sports you can think of, 125% matched up to $2,500 of your first deposit, 24/7 customer service, a 24-hour payout, and that's not it. They started their own YouTube channel. So Super Bowl 58 is next weekend. If you want some inside info and picks advice for an award-winning sports bettors before the game, go over to BetUS Picks and Predictions channel on YouTube or hit the link in the description. They have a YouTube channel, and I think TD's part of it at some points too. So go check it out. And BetUS, thank you so much for sponsoring this video. So let's get into little tidbits before we get into the big meat and potatoes of the matter, and that's team needs. So first and foremost, I just want to address something. And this is going to be a quick address because this is the dumbest. And I mean, it's just getting so petty and so dumb and so juvenile. And it's just, it's sad. It's getting to the point that it's sad. People are upset about the commercial that Tua is in for Paramount Plus, which I think is hilarious, and Patrick Stewart throwing Arnold, trying to get it, like, it was just beautiful, and people are getting bent out of shape out of that. And then his performance, only having, 16 points he did. Who cares? It's the flippin' Pro Bowl. Like, are we seriously sitting here right now and saying, like, oh, he did the worst of all the quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? He didn't care. He threw the ball 14 times. The least above him was 22. He threw the ball 8 less times than the least person. 22, 25, 26, 23, 27, and Tua threw it 14 times. Who cares? Like, are people really that thirsty for hating on this man that they can't? And you know for a fact, if the roles were reversed and Tua did fantastic in the Pro Bowl, those same people would be like, it's the Pro Bowl. Maybe you should do it at the end of the year when it actually matters. The Pro Bowl doesn't matter. It's so juvenile. God. Anyway, there's that. But he did win the comeback, Sports News Comeback Player of the Year. Now, Sports News is its own little website, magazine, newspaper thing. But he won their Comeback Player of the Year. We'll know about the Associated Press, I think, after the Super Bowl when we get the big one, because I think Pro Football something picked Damar Hamlin. Tua won it with Sports News, which I think he had a good year. Led the league in receiving, top 5 in completion percentage, top 5 in passer rating. Like, he had a very, very good year, coming off of multiple concussions, coming off of contemplating retiring and taking care of his health, coming out and having the year he did. I think he should get Comeback Player of the Year, but we'll see how the Associated Press votes for that, but he did win it on Sports News. One last thing before we jump into, like I said, the meat and potatoes of it. The defensive coordinator search for the Miami Dolphins is narrowing. It's getting very narrow. First and foremost, the head coaching positions are filled. Dan Quinn took the Commander's job. Then you have Mike McDonald, Seattle. You have Raheem Morris with the Falcons. You have Dave Canellis with the Panthers, Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, Brian Callahan with the Titans, Antonio Pierce stays with the Patriots, Raiders, my apologies, and Gerard Mayo with the Patriots. All head coaching candidacies are filled, which means Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick will not be a head coach this year. Could they be defensive coordinators? I do not expect Bill Belichick to be a defensive coordinator. And Mike Vrabel is still getting paid for this year, so he could just sit the year out, and next year, if things change and people get fired and yada yada, he can get a new job. But here's some interesting tidbits and information. Chris Shula, who is the grandson of Don Shula, we all know who Don Shula is, was set to interview with the Dolphins. Before he had that chance, he was promoted within the Rams to be their new defensive coordinator. So Staley met with the Packers. They went with, I think, the Boston College defensive coach. They went with a college coach as their defensive coordinator. And then the Rams go with Chris Shula. Then on the flip-flop and the flim-flam, the Ravens, Zach Orr is now their new defensive coordinator. And then the Titans go with the Ravens defensive back coach as their new defensive coordinator. So it's pretty much the Dolphins are left, I think, to fill their defensive coordinator position. And they have the pick. They have the pick of who they want. I will say this, it's a good sign that they're going for people and they're interviewing people that are either being blocked, like Evero with the Panthers. You get the promotion from Babich with the Bills. You get the promotion with Chris Shula. Like, you got all these guys who we're interested in, and obviously they're good enough to get promoted. We know what we're looking for. So, there's Weaver, Staley, and Frazier are still all available. And again, Staley, he had 3 interviews, one with us, one with the Packers, one with the Rams. The only one that still has an opening is the Miami Dolphins. Weaver, he was their defensive line / assistant head coach for the Ravens. They have a new DC. All the head coaching positions are filled. DC are filled. It's either Dolphins or he stays. And Leslie Frazier, either he stays retired or he comes from Miami. So at this point, the Dolphins have, the upper hand and they choose who they want. So I'll give you that little update there. So now let's jump into the video and talk about team needs going into this offseason. Now, there's going to be a good amount of team needs. There's going to be a good amount of moves. I have a ton of videos. It's February 2nd. It's 29 days in this February, and the free agency tampering period starts on the 11th. So again, a little over a month, a little over math, Doug, math, 29, 40, 30, 40 days. Wow. I'm not editing that out. 40 days we have until free agency tampering period starts. So I have a good amount of lists, and we're going to jump into it. So first on my list, and again, it's not important, most important, least important. It's just I'm looking at this team, and I'm looking at free agents, and are we going to bring them back? Are we not going to bring them back? What are we going to do? This, and that. Is offensive line. Obviously, we have to address the offensive line. That is a huge team need, especially in the center of the offensive line. You have Connor Williams, who's a free agent, Robert Hunt, Isaiah Wynn, Kendall Lamb, and Robert Jones are all free agents. Now, I know a bunch of people want to bring Connor Williams back, and they're like, it's a no-brainer. You're bringing Connor Williams back, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. Connor Williams tore his ACL. It's not like it was Achilles. It's not like it was a sprain. It's not like it was a meniscus. It was a torn ACL, which takes 9 to 12 months for that injury to be 100%. And it happened on the 11th, December 11th. So he's probably not going to be ready until October-ish. So if we do bring him back, we still need a center. And he's not going to make as much money as you would think in the open market. So there's a possibility of bringing him back, but he's not going to be ready until maybe the bye week. So depending on when our bye week is. Then you have Robert Hunt. He's probably going to want a good amount of dinero, a good amount of cash. And then Isaiah Wynn, we could probably bring him back for nothing. Same thing with Kendall Lamb and Robert Jones. But that's a video in itself about re-signing and cutting players, which I have coming. But offensive line obviously is a big proprietor. I've talked about it all playoffs. When you look at the other playoff teams, when you look at the teams that have been successful at the end of the year, December and January, running the ball, it's because they had a very good offensive line. And you give your quarterback time to strap back, look, make his reads, do what he needs to do, he could be successful. And it's at that point where, what else are we going to do? We got to just build up the offensive line. It's time Chris Greer got his head out of his butt and kind of did that. So that's number one on my list, but not number one in my heart. It's number one in my heart. Who am I kidding? Number 2 on my list, wide receiver. And you're like, we got Tyreek Hill, we got Jalen Waddle. What the flip you want wide receiver for? Well, a good amount of our wide receivers are probably going to be free agents. Plus, if you look at who our wide receivers were, besides Cedric Wilson Jr., you had Braxton Berrios and you had River Craycraft outside of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And then we brought over Claypool and we brought over Chosen, and they didn't do anything. It was either Waddle or Hill. That's it. And one of them went down, you just covered Waddle, you covered Hill, and everyone else had a hard time getting open. We need that slot, that big guy, either your slot or, the exterior threat, that big guy that you can throw the 50-50 ball to, and like the Devontae Parker, but healthy. You know what I'm saying? Devontae Adams type. I'm trying to think of like big physical wide receivers that could, help us on the outside. Now, we're not trading for Devontae Adams, but we need that. Don't go out and spend crazy money. You don't need to. You got two very good receivers, but we need a third. A nice little 1, 2, 3 punch-a-loo on that one. So to me, it's not that big of a need. It really isn't, but I would want to like add like a Jarvis Landry type in the slot, that physical guy who's going to catch it over the middle and probably break a tackle or two. That's what I'm looking for there. Next on my list is defensive tackle. This is an obvious one. Christian Wilkins is a free agent. Raekwon Davis is a free agent. What are they going to do with Christian Wilkins? That's a video in itself. Do you tag and trade? Do you transition tag and let somebody else set the price? He is going to want to get paid. He had a big year. The Miami Dolphins gambled. They lost. He had a big, big year, and he's going to want to get paid around $20-something million a year. Do you not? Can they come to some kind of understanding? Can they come to some kind of contract structuring, kind of like Ed Oliver's is, where it's an ascending payment? We'll see, but they need to add a defensive tackle, because if you lose both Christian Wilkins and Raekwon Davis, then you just have Zach Sealer, and that's not enough. So definitely defensive tackle is on there. Middle linebacker. Now, Duke Riley, great special teamer. He's not good as a starter. We've seen him time and time again take poor angles on wheel routes, giving up touchdowns, giving up big plays. He's just not good. You have David Long Jr., fantastic run stopper. He's okay, but we need that legit middle linebacker. Now, there are some out there. And again, that's another video in itself. But some people might say, Jerome Baker, Doug. What about Jerome Baker? That's a cut resign video. But you cut him, you save a lot of cap space. Or he restructures. Would he be willing to restructure, take less, help us out, get us more, cap, and bring in a potential another linebacker to pair with them, because they tend to get banged up very easily. But middle linebacker, that it's up there with offensive line, something that we've been, not even we, I don't know if everyone has, but I've been banging the table. Like Channing Crowder to me was the last legit middle linebacker we had that I liked a lot. Even like Carlos Dansby was all right. But like Channing Crowder, like it's been a while since we had a middle linebacker that you're like, I feel good. He'll stop the run. He'll make the interceptions over the middle. I feel good with our linebacker situation. I know. Next on my list is safety. Brandon Jones and Deshaun Elliott are both free agents. They have to decide what they want to do with them. Deshaun Elliott played well in spurts with Javon Holland. Brandon Jones is a good hard-hitting safety, not great in coverage. Also hurt two of our guys because he likes to throw his body into his tackles. But if you can add another safety to pair with Javon Holland before he gets paid, and you can really bolster that back end of the defense, why not? But if you bring these guys back, they probably won't cost that much. But we don't have a safety opposite of Javon Holland because your two starters are out. They're free agents. So they got to figure that out. So safety, tight end. I love Durham Smythe. To me, Durham Smythe reminds me of Anthony Fasano, maybe a little bit more athletic. I love Durham Smythe. We need a better threat in the tight end situation. We need a threat where they'll pull the safety down. They'll move the linebackers over for that threat at tight end. It doesn't have to be a Travis Kelce and a Mark Andrews, that big of a threat, but we need some type of threat at tight end. And I understand, well, Doug, we don't throw to tight ends. Well, then start. Because you start doing that, you start focusing on the tight ends, whether it's seam routes, out routes, crossing routes, posts, whatever you want to call route. Then all of a sudden, like I said, they start bringing safety downs. They start cheating on that tight end. The linebackers will cheat on the tight end. If it's an out route, the corners will cheat on the tight end, giving up other possibilities to Waddle and to Tyreek Hill. Plus short down and distances. How many times did we see Tua hit Smythe in the seam route, which he needed to do more? I think we're all in agreement on that. But tight end is definitely a need, a big need. Another need, we need a punter. I said this last year. Was it last year? I think it was last year. How much I wanted a punter last offseason. A lot of people are like, and I'm like, why aren't they getting a punter? Why aren't they really? And they go out and get Jake Bailey, and I'm like, why? And the rebuttal I got from some of you guys was, well, we're not going to be punting that much. Understandable. Like that's the best case scenario is that we're not going to be punting that much, but you still want a punter that in the times that we are going to punt, you're going to pin them. If we're punting from our own 15, you want to pin them on their 15. You don't want to pin them, or you don't want to put the ball on their own 45 and all of a sudden they got a short distance to get at least 3 points. Morstead in 2022, at one point, I think it was the Jets game, he was clean, laying on, sitting there on the, like we didn't punt all game. Good. Get paid to sit on the bench, my man. But when we needed him to come out and do what he needed to do, he was a very good punter. So the Dolphins definitely need to address punter. Now we get to the spicy stuff. This one's going to either rub some people the wrong way or they're going to understand where I'm coming from. Quarterback. Not saying starter, but Mike White's not it. And there's no point in the season that I feel comfortable, God forbid, Tua had to go, Mike White had to come in. What game was it? That we had the game, we took Tua out. I think it was the Commanders game. I can't remember, but there was a game where we had a significant lead. We took Tua out, we put Mike White in, he threw a pick six. And I was just like... I think it was the Broncos game, if I'm being honest. It just doesn't make you feel good. Back in the day with Ryan Tannehill, God forbid he got injured, which he did. Matt Moore came in. I felt comfortable that we can win games with him. Now, there's still Skylar Thompson, who is much older than I remembered. Like, holy crap. But I want I want somebody behind Tua that he's constantly like, I need to do better. They're going to put him in over me. I want that. I want this kid to have a fire under his butt. So when December comes, he's like that. He's sitting on the bench. He's staying on the bench. I don't care how bad I play in this game. I'm doing my thing. And to me, it's you got to bring in a legit backup quarterback. If you guys remember this past off season, I wanted Baker. Imagine if they went out and got Baker, how well he's been playing. I wanted Gardner Minshew. Look how well he played in spurts with the Indianapolis Colts. I wanted them to bring in a legit competition / backup, God forbid something happened. Because right now, I have no faith in Mike White. Plus, you save like $3 million by getting rid of Mike White. I have a little bit of faith in Skylar. I think Skylar is much better than Mike White, and I think Skylar should have been the number 2. And I think they should have never really brought in Mike White. Like, if you're going to bring in Mike White, just put Skylar at number 2 and then draft a quarterback in the late rounds or undrafted. Like, that was just a waste of a signing there. I want a legit backup. I want a backup that I feel comfortable, God forbid anything happens. And then the last thing on my list, running back. But Doug, Raheem Mostert is in the Pro Bowl, and he had over 1,000 yards. And we have Devon Achane, who had 800 yards. And both of these guys are real, real good. What is wrong with you? Why do you want that? Oh my God, you're big dumb. I can't believe I subscribed to your channel. I'm leaving. I'm never talking to you again. You're ugly and fat, and I hope you stub your toe when you go upstairs later. All mean and hateful comments, and I resent them all. It's the same reason I wanted Dalvin Cook last year. And I hate being right. I love eating humble pie. Austin Jackson, I was wrong, ate the humble pie. Liam Eichenberg got better down the season. I was somewhat wrong, ate a little bit of humble pie. I absolutely love being wrong in those situations. I was not wrong in trying to bring in Dalvin Cook. Devon Achane got hurt twice. Raheem Mostert got hurt, and he got hurt at the possible worst time when we were facing Buffalo and Baltimore, and we needed him. Then at one point, all 3 of our running backs, one was inactive and Jeff Wilson, that we went with Savon Ahmed, and then he got hurt. You need to have the depth. Now, I'm not going to tell you who at running back, but I'm getting another running back. Again, I got a whole video about cuts, resigns, but I'm making room in that room, and I'm getting another running back, a viable running back, a running back that in this trifecta, this 3-headed running back room of power mixed with speed we can be something dangerous down the end of the season, because that's when it matters. That's when running the ball matters. When it's cold as balls out, late in the year, run the ball. Well, you got these guys that'll be able to do it. Up, Devon Achane's in there. What are we going to do with this? Is he going to catch it? Is he going to run it up? Raheem Mostert's in. What are they doing with him? He's a powerful back. Up, Blank is in. So to me, running back, add another running back to this group. But that's what I got for you. Obviously, offensive line is the most important. Without that, the team isn't doing anything. I wanted to put pass rusher, right? You know what? I'll throw that on there as well, a pass rusher, because we don't. Bradley Chubb's not coming back till same time probably as Connor Williams, October, mid-October, probably early November. Jalen Phillips you might get sooner because it's a Achilles. Wow. You saw like the wheels turning in my head. AVG is a free agent. I'd like to bring him back, but we'll see about that. So you got two of your starting pass rushers out. Emmanuel Ogbah, he's not coming back. That's a huge cap hit if they brought him back. So they do need to add a pass rush, at least one, to match, whether it's draft or whatever. So yeah, I'll throw pass rush in there. Trenches are incredibly important. Absolutely incredibly important. But that's what I got for you guys. To me, like if I had to stack it to most important to least important, offensive line, defensive line. I'm just going to clump them all together. Safety, tight end. Sorry. Offensive line, defensive line, middle linebacker, tight end, safety, wide receiver, punter, quarterback, running back. No, quarterback, running back, punter. That's the level of importance to me. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think about the DC availability and how it's getting really more narrow when it comes to the names. What's your thoughts about sporting news giving Tua the comeback player of the year? And what are your team needs? If I didn't hit on one, let me know what your thoughts are and why. But outside of that, I will see you guys. I think I'm going to go live tonight. Either tonight or tomorrow. Tonight, I'm going to go live. And I got a lot of stuff I want to do for the Patreons and a lot of stuff I want to do for the members because I love you guys. You're going to get your own special stuff. So, yeah. But you'll see videos on that. But I'll see you guys tonight live. But like usual, stay classy. F&s up.